We now broaden the conversation around the impact of political uncertainty on the economy with Professor Chris Malikane. And the reason why we are highlighting on this, obviously, is having seen the developments around the local currency. We saw the rand lose about 4% just yesterday, and many analysts are now looking ahead to where that particular trade is going to begin on the JSE today. We seemingly do have Prof. Malikane on the line. Prof, thank you so much for your time, and much of the discussion has been centering around how political uncertainty has filtered into business activity. How do we unpack the man in the office as opposed to the uncertainty itself shaking economic developments?
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, you are audible, Prof.
Yes. Markets, of course, are very shaky. They become more volatile when there's uncertainty of any sort. Political uncertainty, particularly in South Africa, has become a bit more rife and has increased because of lack of leadership stability, particularly when it comes to political leadership succession in the ANC.
And talking about leadership succession, which is maybe a possibility in this particular case, the likes of Busa have said that it is now time for South Africa to look for a statesman-like individual. And what we do know about global investors is that Cyril Ramaphosa is one that is liked by investors worldwide as well as markets. But there's a lot to be said about the current slump that we find ourselves in.
Yes, I think if we want to understand what is happening when it comes to political leadership, is to take a step back and look at the design and structure of South African society and the South African economy. What you have is a situation where the ANC, and particularly big business in South Africa, have adopted a strategy of leading the country in a direction within a context where the economy still remains white-dominated. And so what is happening is that the ANC leadership contestation then becomes more about occupation of political positions with a view to trade political capital to acquire material wealth from white business. So white business is doling out, in my view, patronage to whoever is going to win the leadership positions in the ANC, so that those are able to then trade the political capital. Political capital is to do with political protection of the continuing white domination of the economy. So as long as we've got this white domination of the economy, then there's going to always be intense leadership contestation, competition for political capital to trade with existing white business owners in the economy.
Here's another issue that's come up in recent days is that irrespective of who is in the office of the presidency, investors have expressed that there's doubt of any changes that are to come, particularly from the governing ANC, as the assumption is that they will still remain in power. What's to be made of that particular statement, in that it really isn't about who holds office, but in what manner they hold office, that investors are going to back that particular horse?
That is precisely what I was saying. It confirms what I was saying. It doesn't matter who holds a particular, who holds the office of presidency, deputy presidency, minister of finance, and so forth. As long as those people who occupy those positions are going to pursue the interest of particularly big business, white-owned big business in South Africa, it doesn't matter. Those people will be given what is due to them based on their political capital, which is protection of those business interests politically. Now, what matters for big business is that no one who holds a view or who holds ideologically a view that seeks to tamper with the power relations that exist in the economy should occupy those positions. But as long as the ANC is not having a discussion on how to radically transform the power relations in the South African economy, and we only look at individuals within the framework of a white-dominated economy and society, that is not a problem for big business, really. That's not the problem, because they can always buy the political capital to continue protection.
Lastly and briefly, there are calls for the president to resign. Do you think that's the right move?
Of course. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. The report from the independent panel is clear that there's prima facie evidence that he violated certain sections of the Constitution. I mean, even myself, when I was a student in the US and I used to come back to South Africa on holidays, we used to be given small forms to fill to declare currency, that our currency should not exceed 3,000 rands, $3,000. If it did, then we need to declare the currency.
Yeah.
So if a president cannot even declare, it's a clear violation of currency laws in the country.
Let's leave it there. Professor Chris Malikane talking to us about that expanded conversation on the political uncertainty that is filtering into the business climate.